Well, myself, Joel Coleman, Logan Lowery, we've been kind of making the tour around, I guess, the baseball coaches' offices the last couple of weeks here on Deer Old State, and we found a familiar face. Justin Parker, Mississippi State pitching coach, now going to enter his third season with us, I think, here with the Bulldogs. Welcome back to the show, Coach. Always glad to have you, man.
Man, it's great to be here with you guys.
Well, right now, I've been over there obviously doing a little bit of baseball work myself, and every time I look for you, you're always in the pitching lab. I've stopped by your office a time or two, and you still haven't moved in.
That's right.
So eventually you'll actually put something on the wall in there. But if I need you, you're in the pitching lab. You got a lot of new arms that you're learning over there. How are things going so far this fall?
Going well. You can always find me in the AC. So, no, it's going well. New group, a lot of new faces, but a lot of familiar faces too. It's been cool to see a lot of the guys come back in their second year here. You know, a lot of the sophomores really coming off of a good summer, and you can almost see them gaining a little bit of confidence and a lot of good new faces too. So it's a fun group to be around. Hard workers. The competition, of course, brings out the best in everybody. I think they feel that, and similar to last year, I felt like we lacked experience, but we had a lot of talent so far.
This fall, as the guys go through individual work and things, what do you kind of do, particularly with the guys you haven't worked with before, the Jack Bowers, fill in the blank of the pitcher you want to, the new guys. What's kind of your process as you get to know these guys and what needs to be tweaked?
Yeah, I think everything first is just assess personalities too, to figure out, how available are they to learn or where are they at in their development journey, just making sure that the timing makes sense for them. And so we're pretty far along that assessment process right now and tweaking things and helping guys and, making sure that they feel comfortable to be able to pitch at their best here. And so at the same time, everybody's a little different. Everyone's a little bit different on how much they can handle, or like I said, how available are they right now to learn and make adjustments. And of course, we always want guys to feel like they're confident in what they're doing. So everyone's a little bit different, and we handle them all individually, but we're about 2.5 weeks into that process right now.
You kind of got varying experience levels on that pitching staff, like you mentioned, but you've got some good options on that pitching staff. Whether it's Ryan McPherson, who made Team USA this past year, Tomas Valinkas, even though I've heard that name said like 3 different ways, he told me it was Valinkas. So got him, who tried out for Team USA. You got Tyler Pitzer, who was the Cape Cod Pitcher of the Year. Jack Bauer, who's not a lot of people expected him to make it to college anyway. Anybody can throw 103 from the left side. I think D1 Baseball ranked him the number 1 freshman in the country here recently. But you've got a lot of talent in that room. What are you kind of looking for, from those guys right now as you kind of are in this evaluation process?
Yeah, I think it's a unique group because you have several guys. We have 6 guys back from last year's team that were freshmen going to be sophomores, which I think now day and age, and especially at the SEC level, it's very rare to retain 6 guys from a class. And so you see the continuity matters, and especially in the leadership and the culture. And then a lot of our transfers, if you really dive into it, they're familiar with our program. You have Tomas Valinkas and William Kirk, who's familiar with Coach Oak and what he's done in the Virginia staff. Tyler Pitzer is a guy that I recruited and signed at the University of South Carolina. So Tyler and I's relationship goes back. I recruited Maddox Webb out of high school and know him and his family well. You have Brendan Sweeney, who's pitched here on our mound, and we've seen him and what he's capable of doing.
That's a big dude.
It's a big guy. And then you also have Jackson Logar, who was under Coach Mike Roberts at JMU. So you have a lot of new faces, but there's also a lot of familiarity, too, to where guys can come in and feel comfortable, at least with the environment and the relationships right away. And hopefully that allows them to settle in and just feel at home quickly, which I've seen so far in our groups. So it is a lot of new faces, but it seems like a lot of very familiar faces.
Yeah, and you got a guy like Duke Stone, too, who this summer took a big jump. We didn't see him a whole lot on the mound as a freshman here this past year, but obviously, if you were going to draw up what a pitcher looks like, that's what they look like, and he took a big jump this summer too.
Yeah, it's always I'm really proud of Duke. It's always cool to see the transformation, especially if guys are doing it the right way and and working hard. I had Jay Powell in here yesterday to talk to the guys. Jay, of course, was in Chatham with him, Charlie Foster, and Dane Burns this summer. And Duke came back a different guy, and it's not anything that he wasn't capable of doing last year. It's just the confidence and the experience and being out there. And sometimes guys are able to get those type of roles early, and sometimes just at this level they're not. And so, summer ball was great for Duke and a lot of guys. Tyler Pitzer, same thing. I think Charlie Foster came back from this summer a different guy too, and a little bit of a different way. Didn't quite pitch like he wanted to, but came back here motivated, and he's looked outstanding so far. Dane Burns, same thing. The experience that Ryan McPherson has had, both with Team USA and being able to see baseball at a global level facing Team Japan, I think has enlightened him a little bit. And so it is a young group. I think when you look at it, it's a young group and fairly inexperienced, but it's guys that are coming off of pitching probably their best baseball and hopefully transition that into the fall.
What is it about summer ball? I've heard so many coaches talk about it before, that just the leaps that guys take in the summer. Is it just the fact that a lot of times in the summer you're on the mound, you don't really have to look over your shoulder, worry about coming out of a game? It's like, hey, it's yours, big boy. Is that kind of what it is? It's just developing that confidence piece more than anything?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think they're facing guys that there's no scouting report. There's no scouting report on them. So it's just guys out playing ball. They're playing wood bats. So it's a little different baseball, different brand of baseball. You get less of that feeling, that stress. Less fans in the stands, more opportunities, and I think in most cases it's for good or for bad, kids are just gravitating more now towards wanting and loving to train at the prep level. It's the amount of technology we have now at all levels is at an all-time high. It's objective, it's tangible, it's immediate. I understand how and why kids get excited about that, but that has come, in my opinion, at the expense of in-game experience. And you see it more so at the summer ball level than the high school level. But we have a lot of kids that come in with just not having the inning threshold to be able to have the ability to manage games and the experience of knowing what to do in certain situations and being able to handle a lineup a second or third time through. They're not very often being asked to do that. So summer ball, I think, affords them the opportunity to go out there and do those things after being with us for basically 3/4 of the year training and preparing mentally and physically to handle that.
Yeah, obviously the weekend rotation was wiped out by the Major League Baseball draft, which is a good problem to have, obviously. But obviously, there's 3 slots that you got to fill. Long time till February. Got plenty of time to kind of figure that stuff out. But as you kind of look to that, what are you kind of looking for out of the guys this fall? What are some check marks? What are some things that you're kind of looking for, this fall from the guys that could potentially be in that role come this spring?
Sure. I mean, I'm very transparent with that with the guys too. I mean, it's stability, it's work, it's toughness, it's you saw it on display the last couple of years. Why was Cal Stevens so successful? Why was Evan Sierra so successful? Pico Khan took the ball every Friday night, start to finish. It's a maturity. It's a high level of command and pitch execution. It's a toughness to be able to handle the game when the game gets hard. It's run game and short game management. It's intelligence to be able to problem solve, adjust, and apply information on the fly. It's a really, really tough league, as we all know, and it's some of the best coaches in the game are in our league, and they're going to put together game plans for these guys. It's staying ahead of the game plans and executing pitches and executing a game plan. And so we do have options. It's wide open right now. But I will say this, everybody wants to be the starter, and Jay Powell and I had a great conversation about this yesterday, and we've been talking about it all summer, because when you look at his resume as a pitcher, he's done a little bit of both. And to me, and Jay alluded to this again, is the games oftentimes are won and lost, after the 6th inning. And so, we want to put a premium as well on building an elite bullpen and having guys embrace that role in the bullpen, almost thinking about our bullpen pieces like the Navy SEALs. Okay. And when the game's on the line, I want that guy that wants the ball in their hand. And me, like my mentality and who I am, starting is great. But if I'm those guys, I want the ball in my hand when the game's on the line, and I want it in my hand 3 times a week. You know, the starting pitcher is important. We all know that, you know, giving us a chance to get in a position to win. But we need to be able to build an elite bullpen as well, and we're well on our way of doing that.
Yeah, you look at pro baseball, you can make a lot of money in that bullpen these days.
Yeah.
Well,
the game has changed. I mean, if you look at pre-2005, 2010, how many starting pitchers across the big leagues were throwing 200-plus innings a season, and you look at it now, I mean, there's a handful of guys every year, maybe less, that are throwing 200 innings a year.
Yeah.
And it's just because the trickle-down effect, the hitting coaches are so good, the technology is so good, the lineups are so deep where you can consistently play matchups. And you know, you start a guy that's got, you know, really good stuff versus righties, but maybe he struggles with lefties. Well, he's never going to see right-handed hitters. You're going to stack. Every SEC school has the ability to stack the opposite-handed hitter. So, you know, the talent and the pitch execution that you have to get through a lineup a third time at our level or at the big league level, it's so tough of a task. And so you're seeing guys lean on the bullpen, you're seeing matchups, you're seeing guys go to the bullpen sooner. You also keep those bullpen arms in the flow of the game, throwing more and more frequent outings and appearances. And a lot of times you talk to those guys, they feel like that's what's best for them, to just get in a rhythm of throwing 2 to 3 times a week and constantly having the ball in their hands. So, you know, our level is a microcosm of what's happening at the big league level. I think you're seeing the same thing.
Well, you had mentioned a minute ago in the SEC, some of the best coaches in the country. We have one of the best coaches in the country, not just the conference, right here at Mississippi State now, Coach Brian O'Connor. And, of course, we've had the chance to visit with him now, and we've obviously heard his side of the story and you know, retaining you, making sure you stayed a Bulldog. So now we'll get your side of the story. You know, just walk us through a little bit about, you know, your process of getting the chance to hook on with this staff, stay in maroon and white, and get to still be here, you know, sitting here on this couch with myself and Logan.
Yeah, well, first off, I couldn't be more excited and blessed and lucky to be here. I've always felt like that. I felt like that, you know, 2.5 years ago when I got here, and then going through this whole process, you know, late last spring and into this summer, the more you know, and this is on the front end of it, you know, I had never met Coach Oak. I had never met anyone on his staff personally. The more you research the resume and the more you look at the facts and you peel away all of it, it's such an impressive operation to do it for as long as he's done it at the same place, the consistency, the discipline, the structure, the loyalty, as far as, you know, having Coach Mack with him for over 20 years, having Coach Kirby with him for 14 or 15 years. And then you look at him making this move right now at this time of his career, and all the men and their families that have followed him here. You know, to me, it says a tremendous amount about him. And, you know, at the time, I'm looking at all those things, and I'm thinking to myself, this is exactly what I want to be a part of. And so I'm incredibly blessed and fortunate that he decided to retain me. I've been so excited, you know, about what we got going on right now. It's been an awesome start to the fall, and I've been equally impressed now working under him and with these guys that you know, it's easy to see why there's been such consistency, and just excited. I'm just very excited about it.
To, you know, for me to be in the kind of position that I'm in, I get to see behind the curtain a little bit and stuff. And, you know, when I found out that you were his number one guy, and obviously that he wanted to retain someone from the previous staff, and, you know, he talked, you know how well you did in the interim role, and just the job, how impressed he was with the job that you did there. When you find out that a coach with that resume, and obviously has loyalty to his previous staff, but wants to bring you into his staff, what does that mean to you, you know, to find that out and to be a part of this staff? Because it seemed like you fit like a glove with these guys.
Well, like I said, it's an honor. I mean, you never know. I've kind of always been less on the social media, less networking than a lot of guys, and you know, sometimes you think, like, do people pay attention and do they, you know, appreciate what you've done, and so, you know, to find out that Coach Oak is very similar, and he's done his research and he's done his homework, and it just feels like a great fit, and you know, it means a lot. You know, it means a lot that a guy that's a college baseball Hall of Famer that has had so much success and in this time in his career, as far as making this move now to the SEC. This is a big hire for him, and for him and I to never have had a previous relationship, to go through the process of getting to know each other both on the field and off the field, for him to say like, okay, you're my guy, it means a lot. The weight of that decision is not. I mean, I understand like how difficult that probably was.
I'm just sitting here thinking about, I mean, Coach O'Connor and all that he's done, and like you said, this staff, I mean, in part has been together for, you know, decade or two in some cases. So I know they, you know, have their very well established, successful processes, but still, you're the guy that's been here for 2 or 3 years. Do you still find yourself every now and then in positions where they come to you and it's like, hey, how does this work here at Mississippi State?
Occasionally, but you know what? Like we have such a deep staff, and they're so intelligent, all of them. They're problem solvers. That it's not as often as you would think.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been a burden or cumbersome for me at all. And I've, you know, for the most part on the pitching side, especially individual development wise, I've gotten complete autonomy, and it's been great. It's been an awesome transition.
Yeah, you know, you don't really get to know somebody until you're kind of in the foxhole with them. Justin Parker and I knew each other. We've done the podcast together, and, you know, we would speak on occasion and stuff. But, you know, last year we both kind of found our way into positions we didn't think we would be in. So I became the baseball SID about, in fact, it was the opening week of SEC play. And then next thing you know, I'm working with you as the pitching coach. And next thing you know, you're the interim head coach. You know, we spent a lot of time together during that time. What did you kind of learn during that process when you know you're managing a team for the first time, and you know there's a lot of factors that went into that. But how did that develop you as a coach? You know, to be in that big chair.
Well, I think the main thing is just you're constantly preaching to players and trying to get them to understand lessons about, you know, the mentality side that you have to apply to the game, and you have to do it like that. And there are lessons that you feel like, you know, you as a coach, you're in a little bit more of a position, you know, where it doesn't necessarily apply to you as much because you're not in the heat of the battle like they are. And then I was kind of felt like I was thrown into that, where all the things that you talk about, controlling what you can control, and you know, the mental side of it, just being present, trying to win today, all the cliches, you know, you felt like you had to live it. And it wasn't just me, it was our entire staff at that point, where it was, you know, we're pouring into the kids and trying to get the most out of them and the team. You know, it was still a team that had set out, you know, about a year ago from now, with the goals of playing in the postseason and seeing how long, you know, you could play, and we were still in a position to do that. And so you just pick up the reins and you push. And so that's kind of what we did. And you know, you had to keep the blinders on a little bit. So it hardened me a little bit. It toughened me up. You know, it gives you perspective, great perspective. And it feels like, you know, from an experience standpoint, it's something that you go through it and you handle it. And it just gives you confidence moving forward.
Well, I thought you did a phenomenal job. And, you know, the standing ovation that you got during Coach O'Connor's introductory ceremony, or whatever you called that thing, was definitely well-deserved. I mean, you did a fantastic job. I don't know that we make it to the postseason without your leadership and the fact that, you know, you kind of held that team together during a tough time. And I don't think anybody could have done a better job than you did.
I appreciate you very much for saying that. And everyone in the community, you know, from the time I've moved here, with my family, and then, you know, this summer, everyone here has been so incredibly welcoming and thankful, and I mean, we feel the love, and so, you know, this is where we wanted to be, and so excited to continue to make this run.
Absolutely. Well, here we go. Fall ball, I guess, will be cranking up here any day now, and we've kind of already hit on some of the things going on with individual work, and what's I guess what's kind of your plan? What are you looking for during the fall? What do you hope to see, and what's kind of your game plan as you know, you'll actually see these guys, I guess, really in game action, situations for the first time?
And right now we're still in the individual phase, to where we're trying to make sure everyone individually is continuing to grow and develop and improve. And, you know, the hope is that when you put it all together, you know, the continuity of the group on both sides of the ball, you know, of course, Coach Mack and Coach Kirby are doing the same thing on the other side of the ball. And we're just trying to bring it all together as a team and create that bond and create that togetherness. And, you know, just really kind of keeping our head down right now, focusing on the individual growth and development.
Yeah, I talked to Coach Kirby in here the other day, and he was talking about, you know, just how much time the catchers have to spend catching these guys, and he wanted to kind of get those guys rotating through, so each guy's catch different guys the same amount of time, and they kind of can learn, kind of what their velocities, kind of the movement that they have on their pitches and everything. How important is that as the pitching coach to also get your pitchers to work with those catchers so they're comfortable, with whoever it is behind the plate?
Sure. I mean, it's huge. It's pivotal. It's just, that catcher, especially from a receiving standpoint, has a chance to control and flip counts every hitter. It can't be understated. So the familiarity of what that guy is and what he does and what his stuff does, and then just the relationship piece of having a familiarity with him personally on a deeper level, it just gives both guys the confidence to be able to go out there. And I just think oftentimes a great pitching staff, it just the catching is so important.
Yeah, is that something that really is tough to do in the in the pitching lab or whatever? Is it best to get out on the field and have those game situations, a hitter in the box and everything to build those relationships, and so catchers and pitchers learn each other's tendencies?
Yeah, there's no question. Like every environment that we're right now more controlled in the lab. Of course, we get outside, it'll be a little different. You get in the scrimmage, it'll be a little different, and then if you get in the game, it'll be a little different. So right now we're in a little bit more of that controlled environment. It is a little bit more difficult to catch in the lab just with some of the lighting and things like that. So I think eventually that'll make those guys better. But we'll eventually here pretty soon transition outside and get a better look. And I would think, well, I've seen it here in the past couple of years, guys will end up handling guys better outside just because that's what they're used to doing.
Yep. Well, Coach, man, we appreciate you stopping by, taking a few minutes with us here on the show today. You have an open invitation, right? I don't know that you're beating down the door to be on here with us or anything like that, but anytime that you're bored and you want to come visit, come on.
I only had to ask him once.
You only had that, and well, he came.
He came.
So you're 1 for 1.
Yeah.
Well, you guys are awesome.
See, I wore him down over the last few months.
he felt like he owed you.
Awesome. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you having me.
We're glad to have you, and we're glad to have all y'all, whether you watched along on YouTube or wherever, or listened along on Apple or Spotify, wherever you found us. We appreciate you joining us for today, and we'll be back soon with more shows and probably some more baseball shows, football shows. We go all over the place here on Dear
we'll
Old
get
State.
some basketball before long.
That's right. It's about that time too. So you can find it all right here on Dear Old State. Thank y'all for joining us. That's going to wrap us up for today, though. Hail State.
Hail State.
Hail State.